Welcome to the GLR Adobe campus. In this tutorial, we are going to create an Instagram carousel and cover lots of tips and tricks along the way in Photoshop. So let's start with creating a new document for this Instagram post. File, New. And of course, you could use one of the presets, but in this case, I would like to fill out the right-hand side of the screen. And Adobe really likes you to fill out the name of your document directly. I'm calling it Instacard. The width of an image in Instagram is 1080 pixels. But in this case, I would like to have the size of two images next to each other. So I want to multiply it with 2. So asterisk 2 will give you the amount of 2160 pixels. And the height, of course, will stay 1080 pixels. The resolution of an Instagram picture is 72 pixels per inch. And of course, the color mode, because we are delivering content on a mobile screen, needs to be RGB. So with this, you're all set to create your Instagram carousel post. So first of all, let's save it on a logical location. So let's go for File, Save As, Instacart.psd. That's correct. There we go. I am creating an Instagram carousel, and therefore I need to know what the middle is of my document. A very useful help will be the rulers over here from the View menu. And from the left ruler, I can drag a guideline and snap it to the middle of my document. There we go. It snaps to 1080p exactly. Perfect. So now I know what the middle is, what the left and right hand side is. On the left hand side, I would like to add an image from the lake, from the course assets. So I'm going to open one of those files. Let's go for File, Open, to the correct folder. And this is the lake that I'm searching for. Open it. And I want to copy it all. So Command A or Control A on Windows, Command C and Command V in my document. And now I need to make sure to scale it down to the exact size. I know this is twice the size of my document. So what I could do is grab the corner and scale it down. But like I said, I know that it needs to be 50%, the half of it. So I could also alter the width and height in percentage, 50%. And now it will fit exactly. There we go. We're going to do the same on the right hand side, but there I want to have an image of the zoo, like a beautiful flamingo. So let's open that document. I could also click and drag the layer to the other tab over here and let go. There we go. And now it's placed. And I would like to have the flamingo somewhat over here on the right hand side and behind the lake. There we go. So this is my basic setup for the Instagram postcard. Now I'm going to add a nice border around it with the house style colors of the GLR. So it's already here. This is the GLR green 8EF507. That's the exact number that we need to dial in for GLR green. But probably I'm going to use it more often. So it's a very good idea to add that color to the swatches. So add to swatches. Let's give it the name GLR green. And it will also add it to my library, which is very helpful. So let's hit OK. And now to show you where the swatches live. The new GLR green swatch is over here. There we go. So we can easily pick it. But it's also in my library over here in GLR green. So very useful to make use of colors more regularly and then the exact color that you need. The border that I'm going to create will be added in a new layer. So add a new layer. And let's call this one a border. And it's a good habit to give your layers names. So lake, left maybe, flamingo, right. And actually I don't need the background anymore. So let's drag it to the bin, the trash can. There we go. And now we only have these 3 layers. In the border layer, I'd like to select everything. So let's hit Command A or Control A on Windows and then go to Edit and Stroke. And in here I can select the same green color. So I could go in here and use the eyedropper. And now I've got my green over here. Perfect. And the stroke will be set to the inside location of my selection with a width of 25 pixels. And I think that's okay for what I want with it. So that's the border. We could also add some styles to the border. So layer styles. And when you are searching for your layer styles, you can find them easily by selecting or double clicking the right hand side of a layer. And that will open the layer styles panel and will allow you to add something like a beautiful bevel and emboss. Could be something that you're searching for. It's all based on style, of course, but it's good to know that all these layer styles are over here. So a drop shadow can easily be done, a stroke, an outer glow, a pattern. All things that you can do from out the layer styles panel. And when you want to dial in the parameters of each section, just select the title and you can play with the parameters of your choice. So let's hit OK. And the effects will be added to the layer, which you can close and expand if you want to. It's very clear that this layer has got its effects on it. Next up is bringing in another image. And we're going to do it in a completely different way. So I want to place another image. I could go for file, place embedded or file linked. When you place your file embedded, then the picture that you're going to place in your Photoshop document will live within the same document. So it will live within this instacart.psd. When I'm going for place linked, then you always will need to have your original file. So when I'm going to go for place linked, and select the walkaway.jpg place, I will always need to keep that JPEG secure in the same location, or else Photoshop can't find your original file. So that's an important difference between placing it embedded and placing it linked. So this one is linked. I'm going to rotate it a bit and place it somewhat over here in the center of the left image. There we go. And I'm going to apply some effects on this as well. So on the right hand side of the layer, just double click. It will open up the layer styles. And in this case, I would like to add a stroke to it. A white stroke with about, I think 5 pixels will do. On the outside, that is okay. And a white color. Perfect. And I want to add a drop shadow as well. Something like this. Maybe let's rotate it a little bit more to the left, and that will do. To create a little bit more depth inside of this image, I would like to add a sunflower on top of the corner and over here on the middle of the image. So let's open that file as well. File, open the sunflower. There we go. There is a variety of options in Adobe Photoshop to select an object from an image. The first thing that I always try to do is make sure to select one of the selection tools over here and then go for select subject. In that way, Adobe's artificial intelligence will do its best to select what he thinks is the best option to select. But in this case, I don't want the selection of the hands over here, so it's not doing a great job over here at this moment. But I could also select the object selection tool, drag a rectangle around what I think should be the object. There we go. And still it doesn't do a great job. So I need to alter it again. But maybe I could create a selection with the quick selection tool and just go through the leaves of the flower. And this will work. So yeah, there are multiple ways in order to select an object within Photoshop. I don't want to get rid of the rest of the image, so I'm gonna mask it out. Hit mask, and now I can drag and drop my layer over here and make sure it fits somewhat over here. I'm gonna use the command minus on my keyboard to zoom out a bit more so I can see the corners over here, and let's make it somewhat like this. Command plus, and I think this will do perfectly. So commit. There we go. And I would like to copy it. So I'm dragging the layer on the new icon over here next to the bin. And now I've got 2 sunflowers. And one can live over here. But maybe I would like to rotate it a bit more. Of course, it's very important to use masks. And now let's bring in the Meerkat, and we're going to select it in another way as well. So let's open the meerkat.jpg, and in this case I would like to try and select it again. Select subject. Looks like a perfect selection, but I would like to add the rock over here as well, and a little bit more of his fur. So with the quick selection tool, I'm gonna add this to the selection as well. Perfect. I'm gonna use the same technique as well. So I'm gonna go for the masking option. But this is actually quite rubbish. Fur is very gentle, but we can see all the black background behind it. It's not doing a really great job in creating the mask. So I need to alter the mask settings a bit more. The mask settings can be found with a double click on the mask in your layer, and now the masking options open, the properties of your mask. It's a little bit of see-through by default. We can still see the background, but more important, we can see the jagged edges around the fur. There's a great tool over here, and that's the Refine Edge brush tool. And while dragging over the edges, it will do its best to clean out the black background and leave the fur as it should be. Just gently brushing over the fur and getting rid of the quite disturbing background over here. And it's doing a great job. In this, for Photoshop, probably a little bit difficult image. There we go. When you're happy with your selection, just hit OK. Way better. And now I can drag and drop this over here as well. And well, while it's still a large image, we can see it's done a great job. And of course, we can scale it down. And then it will be even better. Something like this will do the trick. But I want it to live behind the border. So let's reorder the layers over here a bit more. So let's leave the border behind the sunflowers, but the meerkat needs to be over here. And now we're almost done with our Instagram carousel image. The final step is adding in the stamp and the logo to make it look good. And that's all about making use of the blending modes. So first of all, let's open the stamp. The stamp is a black and white image, which I'm going to copy. So Command A, Command C, Command W is to close the image, and Command V to paste it over here. Let's rotate it a bit, scale it up a bit. And of course, it's quite easy to select all the whites in there and delete it, and then you still have your blank stamp. But it's a way better non-destructive way to work with blending modes over here. So let's dive into the world of blending modes, and there are quite a few. And this particular example, I would need to work with the darken options over here. There are quite a few different options, but all will make sure that the black areas, dark areas in the image will maintain, and that the lighter part of the images will disappear without erasing it. So it's always there. In this case, I think I'm going to go for the darker color. So it's and that's giving me a nice idea of a post stamp. Something like this will do the trick. In the right hand side, I would like to add a logo, and that one is the other way around. So let's take a look at the logo.jpg. Command A, Command C, Command W, and Command V. In this case, I would like to get rid of the black areas and maintain the white areas. And of course, for that example, I will need to make sure to dive into the blending modes again. But then I'm going to work with the lighter options. So let's Let's make use of lighten. And in that way, all the dark areas, all the black areas of the logo will disappear and the whites will stay. And maybe I would like to add as final touch on this Instagram postcard is adding a drop shadow. There we go. And now it stands out a little bit more. When I want to save it for my Instagram post, of course, I will need to save it as a JPEG. That will give me lots of beautiful colors and just one layer. But as a designer, I always need to make sure that I've got my PSD in my archive as well. So I've got my working file, my PSD file with all the layers in there. And I've got my final JPEG, which I can put on Instagram. So let's save this one as a PSD. And let's save it as a JPEG as well. And make sure while you're studying for your ACA exam that you know your file formats by heart. So I'm going to go for JPEG. It's a compressed file format, makes it a little bit smaller and flattens it into one layer, which is very important for Instagram. So I'm sure that's a lot to handle, but it's very important that you know all the steps that we've done in Photoshop by heart in order to pass the ACA exam successfully. Until the next one.